Hello again, time for another maths lesson, and today we're moving on from our work yesterday on algebra, and we're going to look at knowing the basic rules of algebraic notation. To be honest, it's just a really posh way of saying knowing how we write things down when we're using algebra and letters. Okay, so let's have a look. We're all used to seeing this right from right down early in Key Stage 1, we start looking at calculations with empty boxes. We're all used to that. That's algebra. That's sneaking algebra in for really young children. Okay, so in the empty box, I'm just going to give it a letter because it's a bit hard to say empty box all the time or missing number. So I'm going to call it X. And you can see I've used a curly X. Now, that's because I'm a mathematician and actually X is my favourite letter. Curly X's mean it doesn't get mixed up with one of our operations. It means it looks different to a multiplication sign, okay? But they can be called N for number. They could be called Fred or George. They could be called anything. I'm calling it X just for today. So let's have a little think. If I've got my missing number, my empty box, or X, a number, what happens if I want to add 3 onto it? How could we write that? Really, really simple. If it was 2 and we wanted to add 3 to it, we would write 2 plus 3. Just because it's X, it's no different. We would write X plus 3. That would be called the term X plus 3. Easy so far? Let's give you another one. There's my little friend X again, and this time I want to subtract 3 from it. I want to take 3 away. If X was worth 5 or 10 or 20, we'd know how to write it. We'd write 5 minus 3. No different. X minus 3. So it doesn't matter the value of your X, you would write it the same. Right. Subtraction. Okay. Addition. Commutative. If I had 3 and I wanted to add X onto it, it wouldn't matter which way round it was. Subtraction, not quite the same. Definitely not commutative. So this time I'm going to start with 3. And I want to take a number. I want to take my little friend X away. So I want to subtract whatever the value of X is. So if I had 3 and X was worth 2 this time, I'd write 3 minus 2. Again, simple. 3 minus X. Don't let the letters confuse you. It's no different. So we've got addition and subtraction there. We can add 3 onto X. We can subtract 3 from X. Or we can subtract X from 3. That's all our addition and subtraction. And they're very, very simple. If you're never sure, put really easy numbers in and see what you would write then. It might just jog your memory. Let's have a look at multiplication. This time, I've got X, and I want to multiply my X by 3. Well, I've got a choice this time, haven't I? I could have X plus X plus X. That would definitely be 3 lots of X. 1, 2, 3, X, and another X, and another X. Or I could write it as a multiplication. Three times X, and you can see there why I use a curly X when I'm talking about my variable, my unknown number. And there's a crafty little trick which you've seen me use in class before. If we're multiplying a variable and we're using a letter to represent that number, that variable, we don't need the multiplication sign. We can't separate it because we're saying they are groups, 3 groups of x, 3 lots of x. They have to go together. So we don't need the multiplication. 3x means exactly the same as 3 times x or x plus x plus x. Okay, so that's one. If we've done multiplication, we can move on to look at division. I've got x. I've got my number. I don't know what my number is, but it's there. And this time, I want to, no surprise, divide it by 3. If it was 9, I would write 9 divided by 3. So I'm just going to write x divided by 3. But again, there's another neat little trick when we're working with letters representing numbers in algebra. Think about fractions. Think about the meaning of a fraction. It can mean divided by. It looks like the division sign. It's got a line and it's got numbers above and below. We've talked about that one before. So instead of writing x divided by 3, we can use that nifty little trick. And actually, that's how you would normally see it written when we're working with letters in algebra. Okay, it means exactly the same. It means x divided by 3, x divided by 3. I've got one more that I just want to show you. So what else could we do with our missing number? Our variable, our empty box, or our x, whatever we want to call it. Well, this time I want to square it. So I want x squared. What do we mean by x squared? We all know this. It means x times x. If it was 2 squared, it would be 2 times 2. If it was 3 squared, it would be 3 times 3. So for x squared, is x times x. If we were using numbers, we know that the small 2 up in the air means squared, and it means exactly the same in algebraic notation. So if you need to square your unknown number, whether it's called x or y or n or Fred or George, you can still use exactly the same notation. Okay? That's all you need to know for today's lesson. I'll be sending the work through. Have fun doing it and have a lovely weekend. I'll speak to you after that. Bye.